Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Carnation Crafts TV. I'm Laura. We have Bunny next door. This is our second show of the day. So this is our second look today at the brand new collection, Fruits of Labour, that we have. So this launched yesterday. We are 70%. 70% of the stock of this has gone, so it's been really popular with everybody at home, and I can see why. It is such a usable collection in so many ways for so many occasions as well, and lots of dyes in here that you can mix up with other collections that you've got at home already. So we'll quickly go through this. I will go through everything on the boards in more detail, but I'm just going to pull this one out. So you can see there, look at this. This is your layered easel card shape. So you've got all of your matten layers here. You can use this to build up a frame. You've got that smaller frame in the center as well. But this will give you the easel card shape, just like this one that you can see here. So you can build this up. You've got the easel mechanism on the back, you've got the stoppers in there as well, and you have these 3D tabs here to give you some real volume, adding in your layers to your scenes. So such a usable one, because the design on the frame is such a detailed, delicate design, but you could use that all year round. That could be your Christmas cards, your Easter cards, your Valentine's, your anniversary, wedding, absolutely any occasion you can use them for, because it's just a nice generic design on that one. And then we're going to go up here, so we're going to go to small token, which are your two gardeners, which is such a lovely image of those two gardeners there. They could be coming in or going out to the garden with the bouquet of flowers, with the boxes and the crates there of fruit and veg and florals. Such lovely images, and again, any occasion you could use those for. We've got around the allotment, so you've got all of those little elements there that you can build up your scenes with. So you've got your fence that you could build up and add more on. You've got the chair, the bucket, you've got the watering can, you've got all of, like, even down to like the hat and the bag. You can have it hanging on the chair, pop them on the chair, and you can use them in so many different ways. And then we go down to our naughty little squirrels. Look at him there with the little spade. They are absolutely adorable, and again, they will fit into any of these scenes absolutely perfectly. Maybe other scenes as well that you've got at home. These will just fit in with those so well. Then we're going to go down to the local community. So look at these. Look at that gnome. The gnome, I think, is my favourite in these. That gnome and the fence post with the bird on. You got your mushrooms. And then you've got your two posts there, so you can mix and match those up. It could be the sign, it could be a post sticking up to the flower bed. Lots of different ways that you can use them, and they're nice size as well. You can stamp your sentiments onto those. We've got home and garden, so you've got your sheds there, and you've got that house, which are fitted, and they've been sized lovely to go behind the flowers, go behind those elements, and they look as if they're in proportion, they're in the background of the garden. And then you've got homegrown, so these are going to be perfect for your grounding elements to fill in all those details and add lots of colour into your projects too. Then we're going to go over, because we've also got the fruitful frames. Now these are just absolutely, for me, these are all year round, even though when you look at them, so you can see you've got your fig frame, you've got your plum peaches, and you've got the pears. So they have been designed into the framework, so you can see the designs in there, like you can see the little pears design on that. But to me, when I first looked at it, I didn't even notice them. It was only when I actually came in and seen the name of them. I just thought they were really nice foliage frames that you could use all year round with absolutely anything. There's nothing to stop these being your Christmas cards, wedding cards. They could be a fairy door, it could be a tooth fairy card, it could be absolutely anything, new home. You can use these in so many different ways. The matten layers on these as well, you can use them completely independently, like this one. And that gives you such a lovely card base. Ooh, just using the matten layers. And you've got such a lovely card shape there, something unusual as well. just using the matte layers, and that looks so lovely even without that framework in there. So there's lots of different ways that you can use them. And then we've also got, because you'll have seen these on all of the samples, is the perfect papers. So you can see there you've got 48 sheets in here, A4 in size, 300 GSM, so it is cardstock. You can see on the top your colourways there. You do have that lovely gingham check design. And then on the bottom, you can see there you've got the dainty daisy design in there as well. So you get the solid and you get the pattern there as well. The colourways in that coordinate perfectly with the artwork, which is what you'd expect from Carnation. So it works really, really well. All right, let's go through the board so we can see exactly what comes in the collection. So we've got the layered easel card shape to start off with. So this is one that you are going to use in so many different ways. Using it just as a frame, like that one, you can see there, just bringing it in as that frame. Or as I showed you, using those easel compartments and building it up. But the small one as well, just using this smaller frame in the center as a card, looks absolutely amazing just in there like that. You've got the stoppers there that you can use for the easel, those 3D tabs to bring everything up. Lots of ways, and again, all year round, every collection you have, you could use this with your frame for so many different things all year round. That would be a staple one that you keep out and use time and time again. And then we've got around the allotment. These are just your perfect scene building elements you can bring in. You've got the fence that you can build on, so you can keep popping that on and make that fence as long as you want, or you can cut it down and shorten it and just have it a little part of it. If you've just got a little area that you want to fill in, you can absolutely do that. You've got lots of elements here. I'm just going to bring that one in again because I love the idea. Who did this one? Pam has put the decoupage flowers around the hoop on there, so it looks like you've got that with the flowers growing around it, which I just think looks so cute. So another way of using that, just having those flowers going around there, just looks so lovely, you know. And then you've got everything there to dress up, like you've got the watering can, you can add the flowers into the pots as well. Then we've got a small token, so you've got your two gardeners there, you've got those decoupage to add in, and you can really build this up. But there's one we did in the earlier show, so you can see how much you can just build that up. So you can get some real height in there, but they just look amazing. They are so incredibly detailed. When I first seen these printed, I thought that there's a lot of colour, there's a lot of detail in there. But then when you cut it with the die and you get all those detailed cut lines in there, and it just brings it all together, and it just looks absolutely amazing. Such a detailed one. Then you've got homegrown. So I think I've used these on every card that I've done. They just bring everything together. Like this card, if that part, those flowers weren't on the bottom there to just ground everything, that card would look completely different. You know, I did show you in the earlier show, leaving those grounding elements off and then bringing them in, how much of a difference they can make. They're great for little filler spaces as well. And again, this one I think you could use with so many other collections that you'll have at home already. Then we've got home and garden. So you've got your home there. I could say I want to add white onto it and make it look like a Christmas cottage or like a snowy scene. So lots of ways you can mix and match these up. You've got the sheds there, or they could be like beach huts if you're making more of a beachy scene. You could cut into them. They could be like glamping pods. There's so many different ways you could actually use those. Then we've got the local community. So we've got our gnome there. You've got the post with the bird on. Your mushrooms and your signs as well that you can mix and match up. And then we brings us to our little squirrels, our naughty little squirrels. You can see there with his little spade, so he's burying something ready to go. And then you've got another one here. Look how even the detail in the die around their tails, They are so incredibly detailed. They've got so much movement on there. They look cheeky. They just look so cute. So that is the full Fruits of Labour collection. So you can see there's a lot in there that you are getting for your show price. And that show price does go up on, is it Friday? Friday, that's going to go back up. And like I said, we are, was it 75? 70% of the stock of that has gone. Now we're going to go on to our frames. Now, you can see already that they are such a lovely size. 50% of these has already gone. Such a lovely size frame. You've got your mats and layers there. So you've got your card base, you've got a mat and a layer. Oh, so Bunny's just told me we're almost at 80% of the collection. So the Fruits of Labour collection has bounced up. So we are almost at 80% of the stock of that has gone. Are we still at 50 with this? We think we're still at 50. But people are checking out together, so I might bump this one up. I can see why though, it does work so well, although I do think this is such a lovely collection on its own. So you've got your mat and layer, you've got that lovely framework, and you've got the doors. Now the lovely thing with this is you can cut into the doors. So like this one, you can snip away those little bits that are holding that door, and then you can harvest that door will open up. So you've got lots of different ways that you can use this. I was saying earlier, I think doing these in different colorways is just going to look completely different. Like to me, this one, I know it's peaches, but this, because they're kind of like circular and you've got the foliage, if I could imagine if I did that in green and then I coloured those in red, it would look like berries, and so it would just make me think of Christmas. Or like even like that in white, it just makes me think of Christmassy. So there's so many different ways that you can use them. You know, this one, I was saying that it made me think of like a hobby house or a fairy door. You know, I can just imagine that on a tree. So it just made me think of things like that, even though this one obviously is the pears. So you've got the little pears in there, but they just look like such a lovely foliage frame that you can use. Let's go through a couple of the design team samples so we can show them, because they have used these in lots of different ways. So we've got one there, Sue did that one, and I've got one here by Janine, and this one does actually open up and then you can open the door. How cute are they? And then you've got those in there. Then we've got one here used as the easel, so you can see how that comes together. And then we've got one here, Janine did this one, where you can see she's not used that actual framework, so just using those matte layers, I just think looks so lovely. And then I love this one, Pam did this one for us, and she's used the door on its own, which I think is such a lovely idea, to just use that door. So, you know, taking it away from that framework, which I'd say is probably the main part of it, the bit that I get drawn into, but using it completely independently, it looks absolutely amazing. And then I've got one more. Let's pop this one down. Look at that. Sue did this one for us. So you can see again using the framework, but this one's actually coordinating in. So using the, which one's this? The figs. So this is the fig frame, but it's actually using the mechanisms from the easel card shape to give you that easel shape in this, which I just think looks so lovely. Do you know what I like about this as well? Sue's done the base and the top the other way around. So the point is there, but the point's there on the top. So they kind of, because traditionally you do it the other way. So like the points would be, the point would be at the back, but with this one, she's done it so the point's there, which I think that looks, that just flows, doesn't it? So nicely with the point there as well. So it's just another way of using that. Right, let me pop Let me pop those cards back in there, and then let's grab my cards. Right, I've made a right mess here, Bunny, I'm not gonna lie. Right, let's make a card. Right, now I was saying I feel like there was so many card shapes that you could use in this collection, so I have tried to, you know, kind of stick with the like standard cards as well. So that's what we're doing with this one. So I think this one's a 7x7, and then I've got that light cream with the check design in there and some white cardstock. So I'm going to pop this in with some foam tape just to raise this up from the card base. And then we can add this layer in. So add that in there, and then we'll add that on there. So we'll put this one on flat. Bunny just said she really likes the gingham. I do as well. I think it makes you think of different things as well. And for me, I always feel like it's more of a summery thing. I don't know if it's because I instantly think of like picnics. I don't know, I just feel like it's more of a, I do like it. But what I like about this one is because the check is almost like in a white, so it doesn't feel too harsh. Even when you use it, it looks really nice. Right, now I am going to use the pears frame. So I'm going to use that. That is going to sit in the middle of our card, okay? Now I've cut it out in the same cream that we've used. So we use that checking in the background. So it's the same colour, but obviously it's the solid, okay? And then I've cut out the frame as well for that to go on. Okay, so that's going to sit there. Now when I pop that on there, it kind of fades in. It almost gives you like an embossed effect, which completely, I've done it so many times and it does have its place. But what we're going to do, let's move that there. So I've cut it out. So if you missed the earlier show, one of the things I was saying, you could build the doors up, which is what I've done. So I've cut out just that bit again to cut the door out. So that's going to go on there. That's going to go on there. So it just draws more attention into the door, okay? And we'll stick that on there. So we're going to build that door up. So what I did was I actually did cut out the whole thing, okay? And I've snipped away. So I've just gone around with my craft knife and just, again, you're not fussy cutting. You're just cutting those little bits off. So that is going to sit on there like that. Okay, so I've kind of just adding in a frame onto it. So let's glue this on. I wonder if anybody's had their delivery yet. I suppose it depends on where. If I've got a delivery come in with either Amazon or DPD or Every, I am not getting my delivery until after 5 p.m. And if it's coming with Royal Mail, then it normally comes before 11. But otherwise, I do not get a delivery until like late in the afternoon, which is so annoying when you want something to just be delivered. But I don't know, it must be like the route that they follow. I'm always the later on in the delivery chain. Right, so we've cut this out in cream, we've cut it out in white. So I've gone round and cut out this circle, and then I've gone in and cut out the door, because obviously we're going to use the door to go on top. So that's then left me with this. Okay. Now this, I also think, would look so nice just on its own. you could absolutely use that completely independently like that, which I just think looks really nice. But what we're gonna do is, let me find a, yeah, we'll go there. Right, so I've popped that on. Now I'm just gonna add, actually I'm gonna do it on you. So I'm gonna add glue. And I'm just gonna put some glue around some of those larger elements to hold. And what we're gonna do is put this onto that. No, I thought I had it there. Right, so that's lined up, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slightly move and then pop that down. Drop shadow. So I'm going to just go around and stick that in. And then when I stick that on there, can you see how you can just see those white bits now? So it just makes it pop that little bit more. Can you see that? So just giving it that little bit, it just makes it look a little bit more 3D. Right, so now we've got that, we've got this. Let's do the door before we stick anything else on, then we'll have finished it. So let's add some foam tape. So we'll add some tape to the door. To raise this up a little bit. So pop that on there, and then we've got that outside edge of the frame of the door. So I've got that in that cream, so I'll pop that in there, and then the window frame as well. I'll put that in there. So now I've got that completely made up. So what we'll do now is we'll add some tape onto here. But it was just, I just wanted to use it in another way instead of it just being the card base with the frame, because they are nice enough. You can absolutely pop them onto a card and use them as your mats and layers as well. Put that in there, and then just glue this in. So add some glue on there, and then I'll just go around, put your glue in, just go around a couple of those larger pieces, and then we can add that on there like that now. So now compared to when it was just the cream on top of the cream, now I think just adding those little bits of white in really just brings it out that bit more. So you can see that. Now that, I think that looks pretty enough. You could add a sentiment on there and that could be a card. And that completely. Right, let's add in, so that we're going to build up our scene now. So let's grab, now I've got some of the sheds, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip that and use it like this, so they just look slightly different, just to make that longer, which I think works so well. So we're going to add that in about there, so we've got that in the background. So let's add a bit of glue on that one, and then I'm just going to line that up so you can't see that overlap. And then we've just made that then our background bit, and we've just made that look longer, but you wouldn't know. That looks so good. So we're going to pop that there. He is going there, and this is what I do. So do you know when I'm getting ready to come up and I'm getting my demos ready, this is exactly what I do, and what I would say to anybody to do at home, because this is exactly what I'll do, is I'll just place everything and just have fun with it. And so one of the things I was saying about these elements, so the homegrown, and I'm going to just do it now so you can see. So if I've got them there, I will put him here. And I've got my little basket. So even if I add the basket, let's say there, I mean, that looks really lovely. But to me, when I look at that, they just look as if it just doesn't flow quite the same. Whereas, let me just move this. Even if I just popped that there, that just makes it come together. Now if I pop in this one there, it just pulls everything in. And this is going to be the same with any of your collections. If you've got collections where maybe you struggle, I know we've got some with like park benches or different park scenes and things like that. Bringing these in will just bring everything together for you. So let's stick some of these in. So I'm going to stick that in about there. Let's grab some glue. But this is exactly what I would do though. So if you're sat there now and you've cut everything out and you're building your card, just have everything in front of you and just think, oh, do I want him there? And do you want to add that there? And, you know, just place things around and just don't commit to anything. Just have, you know, play around with the layout and how you want them to go. And because you might think, oh, I want that there to kind of bring it a bit of balance. But then you look at it and think, no, actually, I want to add that in because I want the bird there because they kind of level each other out. So you just play around with it and just don't commit. And then once you've got everything there and you're like, right, I'm happy with that, that's how I want it to be, then go in and start gluing everything where you want it to go. So we'll add in our buildings there in the background. And then he is going to go on the edge of that there. So I'll stick him in. But the nice thing about doing these, when you're doing it with pin flare, is that you can still pick things up or you can still tuck things under. So you can, even though you're gluing it, you're not limited. You've still got that time to go in and make changes or even, you know, pick something up if you want to move it to somewhere else. So you've got that time with these. So let's go in with our bird because I want him to go there to kind of give that a bit of balance. So let's just add a little bit of glue on the back of him. Chi-Chi. Was it Chi-Chi? Chi-Chi the bird. So add that there. And then I'm going to bring that in. So let's add our flower box. There. And then I'm going to add the sign in next before I do anything else. So the posts, so these are the ones in the local community. So you have these ones, and then you have ones like that. They almost look like a wooden sign. Now you could use the sign one and stick that on to here. So it looks like a post with the sign on. You could just use them on their own. You could even just use these on their own and just have it, you know, at the top and just have it as a sentiment. This one though, I've stamped it on there, and I'm going to stick it in there like that, so it looks like a little signpost. So just different ways that you can use these, and I've just stamped that in some brown ink from the Clean and Simple range. So your stamps from that will fit lovely in there. And I think that one's You're Blooming Lovely, which I think worked really well with this. So let's stick that one in there like that. So that's going to go there. And then we're going to pop this element there like that. And now you can see that just brings that together, doesn't it? You can see, which is really nice. So let's pop this one in here. So that is just going to sit there like that. We're going to add our gnome, and I'm going to tuck him in there, I think, so he's kind of in between the flowers. So that's going to just add to the different layers in there. If I just lift that up, we'll tuck him in there like that. And then you've got your decoupage pieces that are going to fit on here. So let's add these in. So you've got that, and then we've got your next layer. I love he's got a little present. It's like that little hidden, you know, he's got those little crates and baskets full of flowers and veg, but then he's got a little present there as well. And then we'll add in that there as well. And then you could add in, I don't think I need to. I am. We are. Let's add in flowers as well. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pop that under him like that, and then that just fills that little space but brings that. Oh, I feel like I need another one the other side now. Wait. A little bit there. This is the worst bit of knowing, right, that's enough. Leave. Tuck that. There. 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 Oh, I adore him. I just think he's so cute. He's like a proper cheeky little chappy. But you can, the amount of detail in the gardeners, that small token, if I just turn that so you can see how much that is layered up, you can build them up so much. They just look incredible. There's so much detail in there. And like I said, it's so easy to bring in those elements and build those scenes up. I think if you've struggled to build up your scenes, I think this is going to be such a lovely one. Maybe you've never done it before. Maybe these are the kind of collections you stay away from, is building up the scenes. You want maybe the larger florals where you can just pop them on a card and your card is done. I think this is going to be such a nice one to go into for the first time because they just come together. You can have any three of them, pop them onto a card, and it looks amazing. So it's such a lovely one to get into and get started with. All right, let's grab another demo. Well, you just have another quick reminder of the full collection. So you can see it all there, ready to... I was just trying to debate which one I was going to do. I thought I'll do Did you just say it better be a nice one? Ah, so I thought Bunny just said to me, it better be a nice one, but she said, it's going to be a nice one, not it better be. Well, I don't know if I believe you or not. Anyway, shall we make a cat? Right, I'm using the Plum Peaches frame for this one. Now, I wanted to do something a bit different with this one. So what I've done is I've cut out in craft card, okay, and I've just cut out the frame. So you can see we've cut out some of these. And I'm going to use the frame as the actual card itself. So what we're going to do, so I've cut out two. And this is going to be the card base. So I need this to be obviously quite strong. So hence why we've cut out two of these. Now, you could do this, give it a spray, or obviously if you've got a heavier weight. But because of the framework, and it is very intricate, I always tend to do two sheets of cardstock if I'm doing something like this, just to make sure it's got that support, because obviously you have got that intricate detail in the middle of that. So I've got two sheets there for the front, and then two sheets here for the back. So we've made the card base just with the framework. Obviously you can do the same thing with the other two as well. So if you wanted to do it in the circle, or the, what was the other one, the figs, you could do that as well with these. I think we did, no, I think one of the design team members did something like this, didn't they? Maybe it was in yesterday's show, because I don't think I've seen it today with one of them. So we've got that. So then what I'm going to do is glue the top of this into there, and that is just sit there like that. And now that has given me such an intricate piece. Let me just fold that line. There you go, and you can see now that is our base, and that's strong enough now to hold up. So, and if you are doing that, another tip is if you use a wet glue, obviously the wet glue, when it dries and it, you know, compacts the fibers in the two cardstock, but when that dries, it also hardens. So you're going to get, that's going to feel a lot more structured using a wet glue as well. Right, now we're going to use the sentiment across the bottom. So I've got Sent with Happiness, but before I stick that down, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop a little bit of glue across the bottom of the flower bed. So this is the one from the Homegrown, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this along the top of there. So that is just going to sit on there like that. So that is my grounding element now. So I can put anything now kind of in front of that, and that's going to stay there. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these two like that. So, and this one now I flipped, so using the mirrored vignettes, because if I put that there and that there, to me it looks, because this side are the same, it just looks as if it's the same. Whereas if you flip that now and pop that like that, it just flows so much better. It doesn't look like it's repeated, it looks like it just flows together because you've got that point of difference there. So I always say with carnation, when you do things like this, it makes life so much easier that you've got that mirrored vignette, because it's going to look different straight away. All you can do is just flip it and it looks different. So I'm going to stick those two together, about there. And then I've made that almost like a longer flower bed. So that to me now, looking at it there, just looks like it was meant to be like that. That's just the middle part of it. So you've got that. So So this is going to sit about there. And that's going to go about there. So let's glue this in first. So we've got our Pam, our gardener. I remembered. Oh, Barbara, I thought it was... There's me so excited that I remembered, and I remembered the wrong name. Barbara, our gardener. It could be a Pam, but yeah, somebody did email in saying they wanted to name the gardeners Barbara and Tom. It was Tom, wasn't it? Yes. I had 50% right. Yeah. That's a pass, isn't it? 50. I'm going with it. Right, we're gonna glue this on. Let me just get some more glue out of this. So we've got Barbara, and we're gonna pop her there right in the middle of the card. So like the one we did earlier, you know, when we kind of decorated that door and made that door look more drawn in, adding those the frame and the window on. Whereas like this one now, because I'm doing everything in the center, you're not even going to see that door at all. So there's lots of different ways, you know, if you want to use them and you think, oh, well, actually I like that, but I don't want the door in this card, or maybe I don't want the door there. You can use them so that obviously you do cover it, which is what I'm doing now. And then this one, I'm going to pop this behind there. So that's going to sit there. And now you wouldn't even know that that door is actually even behind there. You just think that's just a frame with her there in the center. Then let's add in the sentiment first. So I've got Scent with Happiness, and I've got the lovely, it's like a dark cream beige colour, which is from the Perfect Papers in the collection, and then I've just cut out the Scent with Happiness in the craft card, so that's just going to sit on there, so that coordinates in with the background. And then we're going to pop this on. Let's just add that on there. And then we've got our squirrels as well, because I thought I've got to add a little mischief in there. So we'll add in, I think we're going to add him in there. So let's add, so we'll tuck him there, so he's kind of in between those two layers, and then let's flip him round. Yeah, if he needs to be there. Oh, so we've had a message of Sharon saying she loves how we've put the flowers behind the message. It looks really nice. Oh, thank you, Sharon. Hopefully you've got long sentiments like that one, and then you can do exactly I know. Bunny's laughing at me because I do like these long sentiments. They just fit with so much. But you know, like how I'm explaining about the flowers being a grounding element, it's the same with the longer sentiments as well. If you're making something, you think, well, I haven't got something that I can add in. Obviously you do now because you've got the homegrown dyes, but the sentiments, they do fit in so well. But obviously it depends on what sentiment you want to add in to. Right, so what I'm doing is I'm adding in some of the decoupage, and I'm going to add in, so I've added a layer behind it just to build that up some more. Then I'm going to add the layer on top. So the same one. I always say never be afraid, especially with carnation, because they do their decoupage so good. Use the decoupage on its own. Don't think you have to keep it just for decoupage. That is going to go there. And then I'm going to add in this one under there as well. So that, can you see how it just brings that bouquet around? So that's going to bring that in. So let's pop that in. That's going to just fit in there. So that back decoupage now, and then bringing that layer in, I've just brought that around a lot more. So that's just going to add in. And then I'm just going to hold my new glue that Mark just kindly brought me. Oh, Bunny just thought she'd seen a ghost in the studio. I shouldn't have said anything. I should have just said after the show, yes, there's a ghost. But no, it was Mark bringing me glue. And then I'm going to add in a couple of the flowers as well. So you get the single flowers, which I'm going to guess is what Pam used. So can you see the flowers that Pam's used there? So that's what Pam would have used to build that up. So you can just add in your florals and build those up even more. Or like Pam's done, use them on their own. And you could even bring them in and around as well. So you could even bring them in and add them into the flower bed as well. If you've got like a little gap that you want to fill in or anything like that, bring them in there as well. So we'll add that in. And then I'll add one more. Oh, do you know what I've just thought? No. Wait there, I definitely got another one. I'm a bit gutted I didn't think about doing this. So Bunny's just said that I should put one of the flowers on the squirrel's head. What if? How cute does he look? Fit on their heads. There's me like, oh, it's just the gardener's hat, you know, put it on the chair. You can pop it on the squirrels. Should we stick it on? I feel like we have to now, don't we? Do I have one ear sticking out? Yeah. Okay. Oh. Oh, how cute does he look? That was, see, that was all you, Bunny, because you said about sticking a flower on his head. Oh, the hat. Oh, they look so cute, don't they? But yeah, think of those sentiments. Like I said, those ones, no, they're not from, I was going to say Petals and Thread. It's not it wasn't Petals. It was Petals and Threads, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, them ones were from. So if you do want to have a look on the website, I think it was a set of, I think it was 3 sentiments that they came with together. So it's a lovely little set to get with your sentiments. But yeah, they're great to add in, and obviously you can see those florals will fit in there as well. I'm gonna grab some samples so we can see some more of, shall I, there's a pile but there, shall I grab them ones? I don't know if you're gonna, oh, I don't know if you're gonna see me if I grab them. That's one of the privileges of being short, Bunny. I did have to lean down, but just not that much. Right, let's have a look at these because we didn't see these ones earlier. So we'll go through these. We've got one here by Pam, which again is such a lovely way of seeing the mats and layers from the frame collection without that framework in, but they just look so lovely. I love how she's brought in those little bees as well, just to bring in, you can add them in. That again is from the Clean and Simple range. Then we've got one here by Barbara. So you can see they're bringing in the fruitful fig frame for this one. And you can see, oh, as I like to call it, I'm calling it the Welsh one now. I've dubbed it the Welsh frame is what I'm going to call it from now on. It looks so lovely. You can see that again, she's done exactly the same as what I was doing just now about bringing in different colorways for the door. Really brings the door to life. And you can see adding in, I'm just going to flip it so you can see those tabs on the bottom. So they will still fold flat for postage, but they will pop up to add in those different layers too. And then I've got another one there by Pam. This one's using the pears frame. So you can see how that one comes in. Look, I love how she's popped the wheel watering can on his arm. Look, so it looks as if he's struggling. You're just waiting for something to fall on you. But it looks so lovely. You've got the sheds there in the background of the garden homes. They just look so cute there in the background. Works really well. Then I've got one here by Pam. And again, using that the frame, this one is the plum peaches, but using the card shape on its own. This one looks more summery. I don't know why. It could be the backing paper. I bet that's one of the inserts, is it? Might be. So you can see it just got more, I think it's because of the brightness, but you've got lots of different ones in there. And again, Pam has used those tabs, so you can see that how they will fold down. So they're so useful to have. I've got one of them that I keep on my desk at home. There's just one, there's certain dies that just stay there on my desk, like sentiments and things like that, that I know I'm just going to use all the time. And that die for the tab for them to stand out, that's one of them, because I know I'll just use them all the time with different collections. Then I've got one here. So this is the layered easel card shape, but obviously used as a frame. So you can see that, and that's such a nice way of looking at it more like a photo frame. I feel like with the little house in there, it's almost like a picture perfect scene, isn't it, that you could build in. Yeah, so Bunny's just said that's like 4 dies. So you've got your background, you've got your mat, your layer and your frame. So you've got your 4 dies there, and you've got that card base straight away, or a biscuit as Bunny liked to call it earlier. And then we've got another one here. This one's by Sue, where she's made the layered easel card shape into that easel. And you can see there, bringing that in, you've got the easel mechanism there. You've got the tab there that can fit under that. Oh, let's try putting it under that to hold that in place. You can see how they come up. They just look so pretty, don't they? There's so much height and different layers in there that you can really build up. But such a lovely, and like I keep saying, it's such a usable collection because it can be for any occasion, any time of year that these could be used, and they just work so well. And also one that really makes me think of other collections as well that you could use this for, because this will cross over so many collections that you can bring this, even characters as well. Do you know, some of the characters that you want to just add into this would work so well if you've got favourite characters to bring in. That does bring us to the end of our second show. So it's only the second show of today. So we have got another show with two with us. So if you've got any questions, maybe you've got your delivery by then, or if there's something you want to see, maybe something you want us to do, something you want us to cut out, anything at all, do let us know and we'll try and answer your questions in the next show. So hopefully we will see you then.